My name is Queen Stoner. I am one of the models over here at BTMX. I will be taking over this show. I have a wonderful star guest with me today. We have the beautiful Mindy with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's nice to actually finally meet you.
I'm super happy to meet you. When they told me and everything that I was going to be interviewing you, I got a little excited. A little excited.
Thank you. I
Of
appreciate that.
course. So I wanted to touch base on a couple of things. So I mean, just what's your story? Like, I mean, just, what made you want to get into, you know, making music and creating art?
That's quite the story, a long story indeed. When I was younger, a little bit of everybody in my family kind of went their own direction with music. My mom actually wanted to be a vocalist. Both of my aunts were vocalists. My cousin, my grandmother was semi famous back in the day. And so it was just kind of something that was just always instilled in us to pick up an instrument or to learn to sing or whatever. My mom used to sing to me when I was a kid, and it just kind of inspired me to want to do it. And then I think I was 5 years old and I saw Joan Jett on TV, and I was like, this is badass. This is what I want to do with my life. And I've been doing it ever since, or working
Oh
toward
yeah.
it anyway.
Oh yeah. Um, so as an upcoming female artist and everything, what are some, I guess, day-to-day like hardships you have to deal with?
Oh, um, honestly, for any artist, I think, especially women, it's hard for competition wise. I
Mm.
think that even though none of us want to be in a competition, I feel like everybody kind of still is. There's
Yeah.
so many things that we have to do in order to be noticed. There's so many numbers that we have to get up here. There's so many fans that we have to reach, so many songs that we have to put out. And so even though we're working on writing music and perfecting our art, we're still worried about trying to make money so that we continue going, and
Yeah.
trying to reach out to not only the fans, but to other bands that might want to help us out and to venues. And
Yeah.
so it's constant work all the time. I think for
I can
any
believe it.
artist, not just for musicians, but I think for any artist that is working on, their own art or their own
Yeah.
business or whatever that may be, it's a hard time right now, especially with the prices of
Oh
everything.
yeah. All the inflammation and everything going on. And I mean, as doing modeling and everything for BTMX, it's so hard to travel to even do photo shoots or anything because gas is so outrageous, and it's hard, and everything's so expensive right now that like I can't get new outfits to do new content, and so it's the same old, and then I'm not being able to come up with new ideas, and so stuff's not coming out fast enough. And it's just with everything going on, it's the people are hungry for stuff that is hard to put out there right now.
I agree. And I think, when COVID first hit, things were a lot easier. I know that sounds crazy, but I think that not having to go out as much, not having to
Oh
tour as much,
yeah.
not having to do all those things. It was a lot easier just to put out content on Facebook
Mhm.
or whatever social medias and be able to have that outreach.
Oh
And
yeah.
now people are back out doing things again, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
love the fact that we can go out to shows and stuff again. That's where we make the most money. But I also think that it's a lot harder to build content. Like you said,
Mhm.
it takes money. Everything that you do takes money, whether it to be putting a video together or sending your songs out for editing or whatever it may be. Every single thing in this world takes money. And it's
Yes, it
so
does.
hard.
And it's sad to say, and I don't enjoy living, I don't enjoy making the money and everything and it going and everything being based around the money like that because life is too short to be focused on things like that. Like it's too short. We only live once. I mean, you should live every day like, it's your last. But
I agree.
with all the prices and all that, and it's just making everything so much harder right now. And I know as a model, it's harder because yeah, like you said, COVID did make things like that a lot easier. And I wasn't doing modeling at that time. But just seeing it from the sidelines and everything, I could understand that because everybody's trapped at home, everybody's scrolling through their phone, going through stuff online and everything, trying to kill time, trying to deal with this isolation. And and now everybody's out doing things again, and I'm happy for them, and I'm glad that we're able to explore and go out and enjoy life. But at the same time, it ends up making things difficult in that regard. And I agree completely.
It does, and I think also technology, especially for artists, it's been great and it's been awful at the same time because, I can reach out to people like you guys or I can reach
Yeah.
out to your fans all over the world. But at the same time, when you have people streaming on your shows on Facebook or on YouTube or whatever, you have way less people coming out to shows. And, back in the day when I first started out, you could just go out, hand some flyers out. We'd be
Yep.
playing for crowds of like 200-300 people easy every night and it wasn't an issue. But now, between the prices of everything and transportation being an issue for a lot of people, and then COVID hit and kind of scared everybody for a while.
Yep.
It's been one thing after the other, and I think that the technology has kind of ruined our head count. These
I
days,
agree.
most people don't want to go out to shows anymore. They'd rather pay $10 for a coffee than for a ticket to see 5 bands. And to me, it's very sad because that's the only thing I like to do when I'm not playing shows is going out and, seeing other people play shows and doing what they love.
Yeah.
So it's a hard time.
It most definitely is, and like you said, I mean, social media and just phones and all that in general. There's pros and cons to it, and they help in the regard of reaching to people and everything else. But at the same time, it's people like you said would much rather buy like a cup of coffee for $10 instead of listening to music that's going to speak to you and maybe you can relate and can feel and touch with or touch base with and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy watching how society's slowly going downhill and everything in the regard of people don't appreciate the beautiful things in life anymore.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. I come from a different time. A lot of us do in a generation where, we would have rather gone outside and done things and experienced things. I would
Oh
much rather
yeah.
have experiences than money all day long. But now we
Yep.
live in a society where we can't have the experiences without the money. And
Yep.
it's a harsh realization, especially being a business owner or an artist of any sort, and realizing that things are never going to be the way that they used to be ever
No.
again. And so we're scrambling to try and find other ways to not only promote our business, but to keep those people engaged, to make sure that people still want to see us play or, want to watch our music videos or whatever. And it only takes a second of your time, but a lot of people don't have that time anymore.
Yeah. It it's sad because I mean, like you said, I mean everything used to be so much simpler. And don't get me wrong, we've always had hardships everywhere we've gone throughout the years. I mean, but things were so much simpler and not necessarily easier, but it was a lot easier to handle and
Yeah.
deal with. Whereas compared to nowadays, waking up with a migraine and going, I don't really want to do this, but but having to doing it. And part of it is, you're doing something you love, so you want to do it. But at the same time, you're just like, and I know it can start to get in people's heads, and that was gonna be my next question was, does it ever get in your head that, like, because of how hard everything is with inflammation and just everything and people not being at home like that anymore, do you ever wake up and not want to make music anymore, or like,
It's funny you
second
say
guess it?
that. I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday. Yes and no. I think I think a lot of times we all think that giving up would be easier, and it would be. It absolutely
I
would
agree.
be to just be like, you know what? I'm not going to do any of this anymore. It would be so much easier if I woke up every day and I just went to work and just came home.
Yep.
Normal people do that every day, and it's a lot easier. It's a lot more simple. It's a lot less to have to maintain. But at the end of the day, I've been doing this for so long that I'm a lifer. This is who
Yeah.
I am. It's not just what I do, but it literally is three-quarters of my existence. I can't see myself doing anything else. I don't know of anything that I would be this good at, or anything that I would be this passionate about, or this caring about, because it's
Oh
more
yeah.
than just me at this point. It's become a bigger picture, and I'm just a tiny piece to this big puzzle,
Oh yeah.
and I want to be part of the revolution. I know that
Oh,
music is
yeah.
going to make a comeback. I know that metal is going to make a comeback.
Uh-huh.
It's thriving
It's
right now.
coming. It's
Women in
coming back.
music, yeah, women in music are thriving right now. When I was growing up, it was more unheard of, and to be a part of
Yeah.
this elevation of watching women slowly but surely come up on the totem pole and being able to see all these changes, I don't think that I would want to give up these memories and experiences simply because I don't have the money, or because I'm struggling or whatever, because I think, I'd be struggling anyways. I would rather
Yeah.
struggle with money and all of these things than I would rather wake up every day and struggle with trying to figure out who I am, because I want to help people. I want to make people happy. I want to be able to talk to people and help them with their problems that I've already gone through. And I think that the most universal way to help people and to translate how I'm feeling and to be able to capture how other people is feeling is through music. It's the one thing that we all love, we all agree on, and the one thing that nobody wants to give up. So I'm just going to keep fighting the good fight and keep pushing until I'm dead, because I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up on my band. I don't want to give up on this music. And I definitely don't want to give up on you guys and the people that are actually pushing us to do this, because we need you. But I feel like you guys need us too. Somebody has to make music or it's going to die.
Yeah.
No matter how much I'm struggling, at least I'm struggling with you guys instead of
Yeah.
doing it at home alone and not doing what I love.
I respect that. I respect the fuck out of that. I really do. Um, I I agree. I mean, you got to keep that music alive, otherwise it's gonna die. And music for me is a huge part of my life. It's helped me through a lot of the hardships I've been through. And my modeling, the reason I do modeling is to try to help other women, to try to help boost other women's confidence in themselves, and everything else is more body positivity, excuse me. And with a little, horror twist or what have you. And it's really to feel more comfortable in my skin and everything, and then to struggle and stuff. But that's why I made my modeling page, was because I'm hoping that it'll reach the people that need it the most, and it can help them in the time that they really need that. Because I know when I struggled with things I have in my life, I needed something like that. And music was my outlet. And I connect with music very I listen to the words and I take them very deeply, and they hit my soul, and I I connect with it, and it flows through me and everything. And so we, as a fan base and everything else, we appreciate what you do and the content that you put out. No matter what it is, I mean, you're keeping that music that's been around forever, and you're keeping that going, and as it's slowly starting to die, you're like, nope, you're coming back, and you start bringing that back, and bringing that joy back to people, because there's a huge fan base out there for all, the different genres of music and everything. And and it helps, it helps reach people. And I think it's good that, you're keeping it alive and all that.
I've seen a lot of bands recently. I've seen a lot of musicians, a lot of models, a lot of artists get to a point where they felt like they couldn't do it anymore. I've had a couple of
Yeah.
friends. This is why I was having this conversation yesterday, because I've had a couple of friends that came to me and be like, well, how do you keep going? How have you done it this long? It's so hard, and I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere, and I don't feel like I'm succeeding. And I'm like, well, are you doing what you love? And they say yes. I'm like, well, then you're always succeeding. I think
Yeah.
that success is literally in the eye of the beholder, and what personal goals you might actually have. It's not about being rich and famous. It's not about living in a big house. Music has never been about any of those things. It's about
Yeah.
speaking from your soul and being vulnerable enough to give parts of yourself to others so that you can help them, so that you can heal
Oh
them,
yeah.
so that you can have conversations without actually speaking face to face. And I think that literally is what makes the world go round. I think music and love are the two main factors that
Oh
keep
yeah.
people going and talk people off the ledge. And so, for as long as I'm alive, whether we have technology or we have, just phones, or we have to go back to handing out flyers again, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be in 10 to 20 years from now, I still want to be there trying to help young girls, especially, realize their dreams and that it's okay to do what you want to do, whether you're making the money or not. Because nobody ever woke up and was like, this is the goal that I want, but I have to make tons of money with it or I don't want it anymore. You woke up
Yep.
and said, this is what I love and this is what I want to be, and I'm going to chase that dream no matter what. And I
Yep.
just want to continue to show people that you can still do that regardless of how hard it gets, or regardless of what people say about you not being good enough, or whatever the case may be. We all have our trials and tribulations, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you should always do what is making you happy, what is making you the healthiest. And don't just do it for others, but always do it for yourself first. And that's why I
That's
can't give it up, because this is what
I
I love
agree.
more than anything.
And I respect that. Life, like I said, life is way too short to dwell on the small things and everything else. And it's like, we're all human. We're all here trying to just live this crazy thing that we call life. And we're trying to do it together. So people making it hard on each other doesn't help anything. You're just making it that much harder. And it's life is too short. You never know when it's gonna end. And
I agree.
so dwelling on all these negative things and everything else, it doesn't help anything. It makes, when that time comes and everything, miserable. And music and love is literally, like you said, what makes the world go round. And so, with how little time we have, I think everybody should appreciate and absorb as much music and everything and music like that, that connects to them and that touches their soul like that, because I feel like everybody should in their lifetime, have that like soul, out of body soul experience with some music, right? And I mean, I agree completely, and I respect that. I like that. I love that.
I just think that if everybody, like you said, just kind of focused more on the positive and what we could be doing to help one another instead of judging
Yeah.
people and pointing out people's flaws that literally everyone has. We all
Yeah.
bleed the same, we all breathe the same. And I feel like there are people out there that really are struggling. I might struggle with money here and there, I might struggle with some things, but people are out there dying. People are
Yeah.
starving. People are homeless. People are freezing to death. Like,
Yep.
there's so much out there that people are taking for granted. And
Yep.
these are the subjects that I try and bring to light. These are the things that I want to talk about, the things that I want to help people with: depression, abuse, addiction, whatever is ailing people, to their core. Those are the
Mhm.
things that I aim to not only bring to light and talk about that nobody else wants to talk about, but to also help heal within myself. I think that music is a win-win situation. You know, it's one of
I
those
agree.
things where I can help you while I'm helping myself at the same time.
Yeah, that's
Because in a lot of ways, helping you
example.
is helping me. And if everybody was that way, can you imagine how much more beautiful the world would be? I think it's already beautiful, but if everybody could do that, as cliche as it sounds, I think that nobody would have a care in the world. Everybody would just love everybody. Everybody would get along. Everybody could do what they loved without being in a competition.
Oh yeah.
Be a better place. And I'm never going to give up on that dream, regardless of how cliche or how stupid that may
Right.
sound.
It,
I feel like
but
that's
it's
just something
true.
I have to do with my life.
It's completely true though. I mean, if everybody just stopped the as cliche as this sounds, if everybody just stopped the hate and just loved everybody, I mean, it would be so much simpler. Life would be so much easier. And yeah, we would still have the hardships and everything else because yeah, everybody struggles and everybody's gonna struggle. It's the way of life. It's how the world goes round. We go through struggles, we bounce back, or we don't. I mean, it is what it is. But I don't know. I feel like if everybody just relaxed and just calmed down, smoked a little bit of weed, coming from Queenstown over here, smoke a little bit of weed, everybody'd be happy. But seriously, like there's too much hate in the world right now that it's so toxic and it's drawing this whirlpool of depression and it's
Mhm.
pulling people down in different categories, whether it's artists or just day-to-day people or what have you. And it's just making everything so hard and so depressing right now. And I mean, I'm happy that everything's opening up because of after COVID and everything, and I'm super happy about that. But if everybody's negative outside and everything, why would I want to leave my house? Why would
I,
I even want to go out there?
I agree, and that's why, I always choose to lead by example. I think that if all the positive people in the world, all the loving people in the world stand up for that and continue to do that and don't give up, there will be enough of us that we can lead by example and people will start being kind to each other again. I mean,
Yeah,
you can go back to like the 60s and 70s. Like, yeah, there was war. Yeah, there were things like that, but there was also free love. Everybody was
literally.
caring to everybody. Everybody shared. Everybody was kind. Nobody had any issues. It was a time of peace. Even in the time of war, it was still a time of peace and love. And I think that if we could just get back to that, even just a fraction, that the
I
world would just
agree.
be a better place. I don't think that it's ever going to be completely peaceful. There has to be a balance, unfortunately.
It's that yin yang, good and bad, what have you. You have to have that balance, but it's so out of balance right now.
Yeah, I think everybody just needs to start standing up for one another, and for themselves as well. Everybody just kind of lays down and lets whatever happen. And we can't
Yeah.
live in a world like that. We really need to start standing up for what's right, for what's good in the world, for love more than
Yep.
anything. It's better to love and to be able to get through life, together than it is for all this hate and people killing one another. And it's a sad place, and I hate the state of the world right now, but I love everybody in it regardless of
Yeah.
what their beliefs are or what they're doing. And that's why I feel like music's the only way I can really reach people. It's the only way I have a voice. It's the only way that people are actually going to listen to what I'm saying, is if I'm leading by example and being positive and trying to teach love overall.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I respect that. I really respect that. The dedication to try to help make everything a better place and try to, like you said, it's not going to go back to that super happy go lucky, everybody's nice to each other, type of vibe. But if we could get somewhere close to that, would be so much better than where we're at right now. Because right now, it's the good and the bad balance is so unbalanced,
Hmm.
and it's making everything worse. And life is too short. Like, I don't understand why people have to make everything so complicated on each other. It's like we're all struggling, we're all trying to just get through this. Like, why I don't understand why we can't just love and help each other and, get through this together.
I think everybody just has this need to be loved, to be understood, to feel included to a point where they're alienating other
Hmm.
people. You know, everything has to be
Everything.
category, everything has to be, you know, about religion or, your sexuality
Or
or male
politics
or female
or
or politics or, yes, whatever the case may be. And I think that we just need to get back to the root of seeing that we're all humans, that none of that actually mattered to begin with. People ask about, female fronted bands and this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, I love the inclusion and all of these things, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same playing field. I don't consider us a female fronted band, or I don't consider us a male fronted band, or I don't really consider us anything other than just a band that
a
wants
band.
to help people. I love the female fronted movement and, what it has created and who it's
Oh yeah.
helping. But at the end of the day, I feel like that's just making us feel less included because we have our own categories. But it's like that with everything in life at this point.
Yeah.
It's like gay people fight for pride, and that's great. I am part of the LGBTQ community, and I
As
will
am
always
I.
fight for those rights. But
Yep.
at the end of the day, we can't give people equal rights by shitting on other people's rights.
Exactly.
We
That's not
literally,
equal rights. You're just
exactly,
doing what they're doing. You're copying what you're trying to fight against. You're as bad
absolutely.
as them at that point.
And that's why I don't understand why we fight war with war and all of these things. I
Yep.
know that we have
I agree.
to at some point, but I feel like all the things that everybody in the world is fighting against are basically themselves because they're doing the same things and fighting other people.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of lost sight of where we should be at this point. We're moving backwards with a lot of things, not only with the music industry, but the music industry absolutely is moving backwards, I feel, but just in life in general. We've come so far with love and with understanding and with all these things, but we let all of these other things of the world come in and kind of ruin all of that. And now I feel
Yeah.
like we're working backwards. And with the music industry, it's like everybody wants to be famous, everybody wants a label. And back in the day, those things were helpful. But now labels are actually more harmful to the bands themselves than they're helping. And so working toward that is not even a goal for us at this point because it seems like it's just pushing everything backwards from how far we've come and what we've done on our own. But I think everything in the world is like that at this point. And I just want to see people working together and see people collaborating more with, not just music, but with everything in life, just helping
Mhm.
other people succeed. Because
I
if you're
agree.
helping somebody succeed, you're also succeeding. And I think that people have lost sight of that completely, unfortunately.
100%. I mean, it's sad. A lot people have lost sight of a lot of things. A lot of they don't appreciate the small things in life. They don't. People are so blinded right now, and it's so sad to say that. And I'm watching from the sidelines, trying to help in every way I can, and it's like you can't help something that doesn't want to be helped. And if and at this point, they, like you said, they're seeking for that attention where they're so blinded, they're only thinking about themselves and they're not thinking about the people around them and everything else around them. And they're so blinded by that that everything's just falling into this category of everybody seems to start being everybody is, more selfish now.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's appreciating, that you have people out there that are willing to help pull you back up on your feet if you ask for it. And there are some people out there, and me being one of those people, it is hard to ask for help. I'm a very independent woman. I've taken care of myself for quite a while, been through a lot and everything, so I'm super independent, and it's hard for me to ask for help. And I always feel like I can figure it out. But there even with that being said, I too can be blinded by that. And I have to remember that I need to ask for help. My husband's here to help me whenever I need it, if he's around. or what have you. And if I don't have him, I have other people. And if we all just, take a step back, me included, sometimes because I am human and I am guilty of it. And I'm not going to act like I'm perfect because I'm really not. I'm far from perfect, and I just like everybody in this world, I have my flaws, but I've realized that I need to take a step back and appreciate the small things in life. And I've had that, I guess you could say, spiritual connection, if you want to, I'm currently on that little journey or whatever. And I'm not saying everybody should go on a spiritual journey or what have you. That's for them to decide, or, whatever. But I think that if everybody just took a step back and just loved one another and tried to wipe away that blindness for a second and see what it used to be and what it could be, then I feel like everything would just start going forward instead of backwards. And we would start slowly getting back on that track. It
I
won't
agree.
it won't be perfect again, or it was never perfect, but it won't be, exactly the way it was, but it'll anything is better than what it is right now.
I
For,
agree with
for
that wholeheartedly. I think that we can eventually get back to somewhat of a normalcy if we keep trying, for sure.
I agree.
It takes a
We
community.
Yep, you gotta get that little community going, get everybody to start loving one another again, and there are people that are gonna be on the sidelines that think that we're just a bunch of hippies or what have you, peace, love,
That's fine.
happiness, all that.
That's
But
fine
I
with
mean,
me.
that's perfectly okay with me. I'll be a little hippie, but but it's the truth though. I mean, fighting war with war, it's needed sometimes. I understand that, but it's not needed as a go-to. That is like that should be a last resort, type of situation, not a first, oh, you crossed me, well, we're gonna fight, and then it's this massive explosion when it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. If we communicate a little bit and
Can
take
we
the
talk?
time to understand, like, just throw me a bone here, like, tell me tell me what's the matter. If you have that communication, things would be so much smoother, but people lack that communication nowadays. I think that's one of our massive problems is people lack that communication.
Absolutely. I think that's why music is more important than ever now these days, because that's a good way to communicate with everybody, with
Oh
the
yeah,
masses.
I agree. Music is an amazing way to communicate. When I don't have words and I'm trying to express how I feel to, say, like, my husband or my best friend or something about something I'm going through, music is my go-to. I instantly go to a song that touches me and that I know, is expressing how I feel without me being the one to say it. It's somebody else understanding me. And I use it to express myself a lot. And, you know, I music is a huge part of my life, and I'm not a artist, not gonna be an artist or any of that. I'm on the sidelines listening type girl. But but I respect all the artists out there and everything, and all the bands out there that are working through all this and that are fighting these struggles on a daily and trying to just make a living, and not even just that, trying to make a difference in the world. Because, like you said, you're helping other people with, said, their issues and everything else and just things in life, and in return, it's helping you. It's making you feel better, it's helping boost yourself, your positivity, it's helping boost your good vibes, it's helping all of that. It's giving you that natural serotonin that you need to be happy. And, I respect the hell out of you for it. I respect the hell that you're pushing through all this and everything. And I know things are hard right now. And, it's gonna probably be hard for a while. And I'm hoping and praying or what have you. I'm hoping that it gets easier and that, it starts, looking up a little bit and people start and the music industry starts going forward and stops going backwards and people can, open their eyes and stuff.
I agree wholeheartedly, for sure.
So, um, I had another question. I completely just forgot it. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
um, when did so all right, so when you started your band and everything else, because I personally do not know, when did your band come together? Like fully, like, or were like they best friends that you knew? Like, you know.
Yeah, I think it always kind of starts out that way. It's usually somebody will know somebody else or whatever. I've been in a few bands since I started out.
Okay.
I started out in bands when I was 14. And so, of course, I've been through a few. I think that you change in life, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
your taste in music changes. A lot of different changes in life kind of come about, and
Hmm.
everybody goes through a lot of different bands, or one band might go through a lot of different members, but I think that's just part of it.
I mean, it's
This
like a business. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this band started in 2018, and I actually was one of the later additions.
Okay.
So I knew Josh, who is the guy who writes all of our music for the most part, probably since we were teenagers, since we were kids. And we hung out at the same parties with the same people and just never really thought about doing music together. We both knew that
Yeah.
each person did music, but we just never had a chance to do it together. Um, our first drummer that we had, I had known him since he was born. He was a little bit younger than me, but I had known
Oh.
him forever. His mom was my mom's best friend growing up. Um, the guitar player was Josh's best friend, who they had started a band together and were making
Gotcha.
music. And
Makes
then
sense.
the other vocalist that we had was a guy that I just knew from around town. We didn't have a bass player, so whenever I came in, I brought my roommate in, who was also a bass player and was my other bass player for another band I was in. So I think
Oh.
it kind of just fell into place magically.
Yeah, it was like a little puzzle piece. Like y'all knew, I knew him, he knew him. We all just
Yeah,
twink and made like this little picture.
and we all, honestly, I can really say, I know every band says this, and it's the most cliche thing you can say in a band, but we really are best friends. We're a
That's
family.
good.
We do everything together, whether it be music stuff or just hangout stuff or family
Yeah.
holidays or whatever it is. It's very important to us to be a family and to care about one another and everybody's kids and families involved. And it it's a nice change. I've been in some bands where it wasn't exactly like that, but this band is home to me.
That's good.
It's really odd because when I first stumbled across this music, I just fell in love with it. It was kind of something that just spoke to my soul. Before any of these songs had any lyrics, I could already hear the lyrics. I could feel it. I could hear what Josh was saying when he expressed, how he was playing guitar. And it was just magic. I know that sounds absolutely insane, but it
I
really,
understand
how
it.
everything happened was just magical. And we've had to go through member changes, which is terrible because we are such a close knit group. But life happens.
Yep.
People can't stay forever sometimes, and that's okay. We still love everybody that has been a part of this group because it was very important to making this group to what it is today. And we couldn't have been the group we are now without all of those past members. So we still love them, wish them the best. And we may even go through more member changes. You never know what's going to happen. But at the
Life
end
is crazy.
of the day, I feel like this has been something really special for everybody who's been involved with this. This has been a home to everybody, a safe haven, a way for everybody to get out of their everyday, norms and
Yeah.
get out of their problems and to get out of their head. And it's been very, very special for the last few years.
I love that for you. I think that's amazing. I think that's the best type of bond is creating that bond and everything with like band members. And being in a band and stuff, you're close, and when you can have that connection with all of them and become best friends and become that close knit family, I think that connection is beautiful and amazing, and that's that love that we need through the world is, that little connection right there. That's all you need is just a
For
little
sure.
connection.
I think it also shows a lot in the music and our stage presence as well. I think that when you don't have that bond and that connection, a lot of things are forced.
Oh
And
yeah.
the great thing for us is that we all do get along and that we do love each other so much because You know, I being on stage with them for so long, I already know what they're going to do before they do it. I can tell by their body language. I can tell when they're upset, when they're sad, you know, all these things. And it just makes for a better show for everybody, for
Oh
us, for
yeah,
the fans. And it's really important, I think, for any bands that are upcoming or want to be upcoming. It's super important to form relationships with people that you work with. It makes it better for everybody, for sure.
I agree. It makes that healthy work environment, healthy home environment, all that, and it helps because if you're in and I've worked in toxic work relate, environments and everything. I just quit my job at, Texas Roadhouse and everything because that was a hot mess and all that. But it was the my coworkers and everything that felt like family because of the way they treated me. The managers, however, it didn't feel like family, and they did not. It was not good, and it was toxic. And because of the way they treated people, it made the environment toxic.
Yeah,
And so,
I think that's the important thing to figure out is if your happiness outweighs what you're doing.
oh
I
yeah,
think, you know, I would rather take a low paid job that I'm super happy at than to have a high paid job that I'm miserable at. It's the
I
same
agree.
with band. You know, I'd rather have a group of people that I get along with that we may not make it to be famous or whatever than to be famous with people I can't stand.
Yeah, because yeah, you guys want to build that up and everything else, and I respect that, and I love that.
For sure.
So, but it was really nice having this little talk with you. I loved meeting with you. It was an honor talking to you and having you on the
Likewise.
show. Um, and I wish you the best of luck with all your band stuff and everything else. I really do, and I hope it starts looking better for you guys.
Absolutely. And same goes to you. I hope that everything works out for you and feel free to stay in touch. And, you know, I still talk to Will and everything. So
Yeah,
you guys are part of the family now. So if you need anything, call me. We'll do this again sometime.
sounds good. I would love to do this again sometime. I had
Yes,
so much fun.
you too. Pleasure.
All right.
Much love. Thanks for having me.
With the smile of your pocket face, your foundation even though you left us all alone. What was so pure for these nightmares? My heart is turned to stone. You cannot believe what is tired eyes left saying you down. Put me down, won't you put me down to sleep? But made to sleep. We have to find a way to stop these monsters rolling out under our feet. Fight them like the flames, must be demons out of your head. I know we can find a way, we'll reach the end. I know this day we won't forget. And if you dream, erase these flames. The new world is coming, it's already embrace it. Lay me down to